If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
Well, hello, good evening. Welcome to another live edition of the BCSN Sports Wrap. I'm Brian Fulford. That's A.D. Drew, and it's a pleasure to be on with you Sunday evening as we put a bow on week 0 and get ready to start looking ahead to the first full weekend of college football across the country this upcoming weekend. Drew, how we doing tonight? Looks like you is the internet working where you are?
Right now, yes. all I heard was some rumbling outside, and then my internet decided to buffer real bad. So I'm like, okay, because I was sitting waiting to start the show, and then all of a sudden I just get the the little mouse wheel that no one can stand on the internet. So
The
it
spinning
is
wheel.
what it is. The
The
spinning
spinning
wheel.
wheel. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how a lot of folks in Orangeburg, South Carolina are feeling today. Just the spinning wheel, trying to figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a big game yesterday, Brian.
There was.
Florida Memorial traveled to Bluefield, West Virginia to take on Bluefield State in a Week 0 matchup
Correction.
between
It was not Bluefield State. It was
it was
Bluefield
Bluefield
University.
University. Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Big game. 97 points
Big game.
scored, 700 yards on one side of the ball. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit. But man, I want to thank everybody for coming in early. Make sure you're following the Black College Sports Network, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1, the number 1. You can also find our BCSN Sports Wrap page on Facebook. Heading into our 7th season, or we are in our 7th season of doing this show. And, Drew, I will, and you know me, I'm very honest. I'm very transparent. And, I like to own up to things. And so I'll be eating a lot of crow in this first segment. If I had a little crow on my shoulder, I would sit him right there, because I was wrong.
Except
Dead
for one thing.
wrong.
You got one thing right, Brian.
What did I get right? Because I don't feel like I got anything right last night.
You got the over-under right.
Did I?
I did.
Well, okay.
I took the under.
Yes.
I never expected all the points to be on one side, but I did take the under.
We surely did.
And as a matter of fact, Brian, we came within 22 seconds of a SWAC milestone.
Which one?
There has never been a shutout in a full game of the SWAC Challenge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And South Carolina State's touchdown with 22 seconds ended that possibility of a shutout. So the only other time there was a shutout was when the SWAC Challenge was held in Bethune, but that game was called in the second quarter due to weather.
So yeah, good point.
Well, Daytona, Bethune was involved with it. I'm sorry, it was in Daytona.
Yeah, that's
I don't remember who. That's when they went campus to campus,
or very close
after they left Birmingham. Yeah, after they left Birmingham, and they traveled around for a few years.
Yeah. Well, the MEAC SWAC Challenge took place in hot Atlanta, Georgia.
You got that part right.
I love the fact that Tiffany Green, fellow Rattler. I love she was very adamant about reminding anybody who watched the broadcast, especially in the first half. she made sure that you knew it was hot in Atlanta. Because I think she said it about 4 times as I was going back watching the feed. I was like, yes. And I'm saying this all the while I'm driving home and it's hot. I'm like, yes, Tiffany, it's hot. Jeez, thanks for the reminder. It's hot. Yes,
it was. It was a special kind of hot.
Yeah, but I'm curious whether it really affected the play, because the thing about Center Park, by the time kickoff, pretty much the entire field and even the bleachers or the stands were all covered in shade. So, I mean, now granted that didn't help with the humidity, and there really wasn't much wind, or I don't even know how wind gets through into that stadium the way they have it
reconfigured,
enclosed. Right, the way they have it enclosed, I don't really know how. You can see the wind blowing up on the flags at the top of the scoreboard, but that's up there because there's nothing else up there blocking the wind. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, before we get into talking about this contest, let's give a few shout outs as folks are jumping in early in the chat room, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. Got a good show planned for you today. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk a little CIAA preview with our good friend Kris Ferguson of D2Football.com. Of course, Kris writes the CIAA component, while our own AD Drew, of course, covers the SIC for D2Football.com. So, to give us a chance to kind of really jump into the CIAA and kind of see Kris's thoughts on the season ahead, which begins this weekend. Then coming up at the top of hour 2, we got a new special guest that's going to be joining us probably on a regular during our Sunday shows. Coach Farasi Norman is going to be joining us. We're going to get a coach's perspective on some of these games that we're watching. So we're going to throw Coach right into the fire right off the bat. We're going to ask him about you've seen that clip of Vince Lombardi where he goes, "What the hell just happened?" So that's what we're going to ask Coach.
What the hell is going on out here?
There it is. That's the quote. What the hell is going on out here? That's what we're going to ask Coach Norman what he saw out there. But and then we're going to get into talking about some other games, and then of course looking at some previews for week 1, so on and so forth. First in the room, HBCU band talk. A Wildcat supporter. Were the Wildcats in the what was that band competition in Houston? I'm curious. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know. I know FAMU was. How was that band competition? Anybody in the chat room, you guys go ahead and let us know. Anybody who attended or if it's streamed, if you watched it. Chuck Hutt, good to see you, man. Thanks for checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Good evening. David Garner, good to see you. Good to see you. Mary 305, good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for jumping in. Hey, it's Charles Edmond, the voice of Alcorn State Sports. Charles, I missed you on Saturday, man. I missed you. I know Charles getting a little R&R in. His only Saturday probably that he gets before, every weekend becomes something related to Alcorn State sports. So I hope you enjoyed your Saturday, Charles. It's the last free Saturday you get. Good to have him in the chats watching us on Facebook. Theron Waters, good to see that you're listening on YouTube, but you're posting from Facebook. I love it. I love that.
Hey, that's a double view.
Double view. We love it. Double hits. Everybody should do that. Double hits. It's all good. Hey, thank you.
Watch on one and comment on the other.
Yeah, exactly. Meredith, thanks for checking in. Good to see you, Tamara T, a JBN membership subscriber. We appreciate you, Tamara. Definitely. Edward, good evening. Yes, exactly. Congrats to JSU and to the JSU folks. Congratulations. Yes, Adrian Cook. Yeah, they beat Adrian. Congratulations. Jackson State beat up on that team like they were supposed to. Really bad look. We're going to get into talking about that here in just a second. ODB checking in. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, that was a bad look for Buddy. Gotta say that. Yes, Edward. Yes, Savannah State is part of the BCSN lineup of joining our network, as well as Edward Waters. So we have Edward Waters, Savannah State, Miles College, Morehouse College, and Benedict, all from the SIAC, and Payne College. Payne is in Augusta. Of course, they don't play football, but they play practically every other sport that most of your HBCUs are playing. So, yeah, proud to have and happy to have Savannah State joining us. So we're looking forward to bringing those games throughout the years. Yeah, Mary 305, you were shocked. Everybody, and maybe except for Jackson State folks. And I gotta imagine maybe even Jackson State folks are shocked at the way South Carolina State played. Walter Harley, good to see you. Thanks for coming in, checking in with us. Appreciate that. Let's see. Any others that I see on here? Drew, I'll yep. There, Jeremiah Clark. Yes, indeed. Good evening. Good to have you in here. Okay, so let's get into there's my guy, Jamie Walker. Good to see you, Jamie. Good to see you. Good to have you in. All right, so in this first segment, we're gonna give some time here to making sure we talk about this this beating that Jackson State put on South Carolina, and it was all underneath the umbrella, Drew, of the announcement that came out Thursday that Oliver Buddy Pugh was going to hang it up after this season.
Can I ask the question, Brian? Can I please ask the question?
What's the question?
For all the people at South Carolina State, Bulldogs, was Buddy Pugh's announcement a distraction? That's all we heard in Tallahassee after the video. Is that going to be a distraction? Was that a distraction? Yeah. I had to ask you, man.
Yeah, because I've heard some people talk about that. I don't know how or why it would be a distraction. I mean, it's the beginning of the season.
Everybody thinks everything's a distraction, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it would be a motivating.
What was the distraction was the defense missing assignments. What was a distraction was the poor tackling techniques. That was a distraction.
Yeah. So much for fall camp. I mean, you see that kind of performance, and you just want to take, you just want to do this, Drew. Everything you did in the fall, just it felt like all of it. You just ball it up and throw it away, man, because
that
Jackson
was
State,
garbage.
Yeah, Jackson State pretty much did any and everything that they wanted to do in this contest. Final score: Jackson State 37, South Carolina State 7. JSU amassed just under 500 total yards, right at 499. South Carolina State only had 201 total yards. The passing game looked good for Jackson State. Jason Brown.
Hey, Brian, as you go through those stats, are you going through that revised that I emailed to you?
I am not. I am looking at the ESPN stats. So
okay.
I did. Yeah, obviously, all these are
you to revise.
What's official yet? What are we saying is official?
What I emailed to you is the official.
Okay, so
I wound up with a copy of the official.
All right. Well, why don't you pull that up? But anyway, I'll access it. But since I'm here on the on this particular page I'm on, I'm gonna just kind of gloss over these things, and you can always come back and add a yard or two to it. Jason Brown looked really good as the quarterback. Shador who? I'm just kidding. But Jason Brown looked really good.
26 of 30.
33 or 30.
Just a
Because
second. Jason Brown, 26 of 30, 356 yards. Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
So 4 incomplete passes. I mean, that's special. That's pretty good, man.
And that's not even a record, Brian. At least on the FCS level.
What do you mean? What do you mean it's not a record? I mean, for this game, for this
completion percentage. I thought that may have been approaching the all-time passing record for a game, because that's a remarkable feat for an individual game. That's almost a Christian Laettner type game. Christian Laettner versus Kentucky back in the day, as far as almost a perfect performance.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the effort was really nice by. I mean, the offense moved. I mean, we'll get it. I mean, my goodness, Drew, the tempo that Jackson State. You talk about biggest takeaways from this game. I'm gonna start with the tempo. I thought the tempo was pretty interesting from the standpoint of we see a lot of teams in college run this no huddle tempo kind of thing, right? But did you notice he was getting plays off, or Brown, Jackson State's offense was getting plays off when they ran tempo within about 10 to 15 seconds once the new play clock starts. And more importantly, when he went to the line of scrimmage, they had called the play as they were lining up, and they ran the play. There wasn't this get to the line.
Check with me.
No, it was
the
like
check with me.
There was no check with me. It was like call it and go. And I thought that there was moments when they definitely caught South Carolina State still scrambling to figure out what they're in, what they're doing, where they're at. And they were just efficient, just whether it be run, pass. A couple times, I swear they ran the same play 2 consecutive times, and they both got like 15 yards. And I wanted to go back and say, how many 20-plus yard plays did Jackson State have, or maybe say 15-plus yards? I mean, that was pretty impressive. And so, again, when you open the season that way, Drew, that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. What's a takeaway? What's one of the big takeaways you had?
64 yards passing by South Carolina State.
Yeah.
Let's put that into perspective. Jason Brown's long was 47 yards.
Yes, it was.
64 yards passing. And we know South Carolina State is not a passing team. They're not going to throw for 400 in any particular game, but to have less than 100 yards is almost it's sad. It's a
But the way
it's
they
not a good performance.
You say they're not a passing team, but you look at those first 2 drives.
And that's the problem, Brian.
Yeah.
You had a team that played to a different characteristic than we've traditionally seen. Now, obviously, if they're trying to play to that style, they have recruited for that style. They've gone to the portal and getting that style. But the execution did not work. So when I saw South Carolina State trying to run tempo and trying to pass the ball quickly, I knew they were in trouble.
Five of the first 6 plays, of course, they went 3 and out the first 2 possessions, but 5 of those 6 plays, all pass plays.
Exactly. But they actually had success on the ground.
Yes, they did. They finally decided
when you put it into perspective, but they got down so far where it was ineffective for them to consistently run the ball. So that was the problem. I mean, Jawarm Howell had 49 yards on the ground. Shaw was with 23. Corey Fields himself ran for 32. Corey Fields did not even have 100 total yards. He had 60 passing, 15 with a net of 17 on the ground. 77 yards, Brian.
South Carolina State's 4th possession. Now, this is following the Jackson State missed field goal, right? Okay, down 7-0. The next possession by South Carolina State, a 9-play, only 12 yards, but it really felt more. It should have been more than that because they started it off on their own 20. They got a run of 5 yards, run of 4. This is all with Howell running the ball, right? Then they pick up 6 yards. That's a first down. Then another 4 yards. They get another first down. Then Fields, incomplete pass. Then they bring in the other tailback, Casey Fields. He gets an 8-yard run. Then they get so now they're at the 40. Fields gets another run of 7 yards, and here's where it all fell apart. A block below the waist, illegal block by the offense, 15-yard killer. They still, and that's where it fell apart right there, because the play after that, it's a loss of 1. Then you got Fields trying to throw again. Next 2 plays, incomplete pass, you're forced to punt. And so what started out as a drive that got you all the way to the South Carolina State 48-yard line. You got the midfield. You got 38 yards, got the midfield, and then what happened? Boom, penalty, killed you. And then, they could never do anything after that. I mean, that was the first drive. That was their opportunity. They had another possession where they went out on downs near midfield. And, but I think South Carolina State waited too long to run the ball. They should have been running the ball, if not in that very first possession, Drew. They should have been running the ball in the second possession. Way too much passing going on. One of the things that I heard in the post-game presser from Buddy Pugh was that their offensive coordinator was new as of the summer, because the previous OC had left after the spring game. So that's never a good sign, because look, you go from having somebody that you've been working with all through spring, and then all of a sudden he leaves. Here comes a new guy, and I don't know. It was just a bad spot to be in. So we'll get into talking a little bit more. Okay, good.
One question before we break it away, and I'm pulling out my inner Mike Washington on this, Brian. Is this a new data point because this is a new regime at South Carolina State, or is this a continuation of the accumulation of data that we've had in the 2.5, 3 years since Prime took over at Jackson State? Because if this is a single data, if this is a data point, this is more like a data dot, not a data point.
What are you referring to? Maybe I'm not what you're referring to.
As far as what we are able to analyze from Jackson State, is Jackson State that good? Is South Carolina State that bad? Or is it somewhere in between? Because this Jackson State team looks eerily similar to the Jackson State teams that we've seen for the last 2 years.
Yeah, they do.
Yep. They have the depth, they have the speed. Some of the positions where the speed is at may have changed a little bit, but
they look
the
physical
philosophy
up front in the trenches.
They look physical up front. If you'd have took Brown's number and changed Brown's number from 4 to 2, could you have really tell the difference between what we saw last year and what we saw in that game? Let's be honest. Let's be honest with that, Brian. Could you really tell the difference?
Yeah.
Those receivers out there on the wing, did those receivers not look like what we have seen the last 2 years?
Here's what I'll take away from this. How you open the season. Like, we've seen Jackson State open against trash opponents. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't. Against really bad, unprepared. I did say it. Against unprepared opponents. Somebody in the chat room, my eyes were on the word, and that threw me off. Bad opponents. Bad teams that weren't ready for the start of week 1. Now, I don't know whether you tell me South Carolina State was ready for week 0, this first game.
No.
I'd scratch my head and say, And like Buddy Pugh said,
if that was being ready, it's going to be a long fall in Orangeburg.
That's one where the coaches look. He did right by saying the coaches take that one. The coaches take that one. We put all the blame on the coaches for this one. I don't care how new you were or how recently you got there. Put that one on the coaches. It's a bad look. Jackson State had just as much time getting ready as South Carolina State. And, you're an FCS program, you shouldn't be looking like an NAIA or Division II opponent. And that's what it looked like Jackson State was going up against. All right, let's take a break, Drew. Very short break, because right on the other side, we're going to talk to friend of the program, Kris Ferguson, to get into a little CIAA preview for the upcoming year. So we're going to talk to Kris and kind of find out his take on what this season is going to look like in the CIAA. You guys hang in there with us. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back right on the other side.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em! It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, clean bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Look who's joining us. It's our good friend, Kris Ferguson, D2Football.com, CIAA columnist. Follow Kris at D2KFerg, F-E-R-G. Kris, how you doing, man? You ready for the football season?
Man, I'm excited. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to go through. I don't even know where to start. It's just so much. So I'm just happy to be here with you guys. It's been so long.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Good to see you. The beard is looking good. It looks like it's full of growth. No grays, by what I can tell. That means you're living right.
Trying.
Stress-free.
He feels left out.
Yeah, I trust me. I know that's why I said stress-free, because see, that's where these grays come from, right, Drew? Tell him.
Exactly. And I refuse to do the dye thing. So
I tried it. It didn't hold very well. I tried to get that soap that you massage in. What a waste. What a waste. It only cost me a few bucks, so I'm not complaining too hard. All right. So, Kris, CIAA action starts this week. Obviously, predicted order. Let's start with kind of the predicted order of finish, which I found a little amusing. The fact that, the CIAA, they went all 12, so we really don't know what the divisions are per this order of finish. But Fayetteville State first, Bowie State second, Virginia Union third. And that's what kind of caught me by surprise. What caught you by surprise about the predicted order of finish?
Well, I would say the surprise is probably a little bit further down the order. If you look at how they ended up in the 7, 8 slots, and you kind of see a name that hasn't been that high in a long time, Josh C. Smith. I think that one caught more people off surprise because, the CIAA champion, the coaches tend to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt going into the season. But to have John C. Smith, higher than like a Winston-Salem State, I think that really stands out quite a bit. And I think that one was the big surprise out of all the teams landed.
Who does
if the coaches?
I was going to ask. Hold on. Who does Johnson C. Smith have? I mean, because I'll play dumb. What does Johnson C. Smith have coming back that warranted this type of love, so to speak?
Well, the thing about Johnson C. Smith is last year they lost several games by less than a touchdown. They had quite a few heartbreakers where they could have. I think they had Chowan on the ropes. They let that one slip by, and a couple other teams. And to understand what happened to them is as the season went on, really the main player that got hurt was the quarterback, Tyrell Jackson. So when he went down, they just didn't really have the depth at quarterback to keep going. They had a little bit. They did have their second string quarterback, Malik, who he played. He did fine, and he got hurt. So they were down to a third string quarterback when they were in division play last year. And, really Tyrell Jackson is kind of it seems like he was kind of the make and break. And the other things, they were really young last year. I mean, they were very, very young. Now, JCSU has gone into the transfer portal very heavy. There's a lot of guys on this list that I'm looking at. They have pulled from various Division II, FCS, and even BCS level schools like Power 5 and Group of 5 schools. So, I mean, they went shopping, and I think they've landed some guys who might can plug in some holes. But rest assured, they're not sitting on their laurels at all. They're hungry.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Drew. My bad.
Oh no, that's all good. Now you just mentioned that the coaches tend to put the champions back at the top, which pretty much every conference tends to do that. So with the North Division champion being Shawan, not in the conference anymore, you would think that the coaches would have put the runner-up in the North, being Virginia Union, and move them up that one slot. But instead, they jumped Bowie over Virginia Union like this was 2021 once again. What's going on with that?
That was a little bit of a surprise, too. That's probably like number 2 on my list of surprises, mainly because with Virginia Union, you're at least starting with having Jada Byers, who was the leading rusher in all of Division II last year. Yes, you lost your quarterback to graduation. Yes, they did go to the transfer portal to get who I think is going to be, somebody who might be able to help on quarterback. And then they also had another individual in Christian Reed who, played a little bit last year at the quarterback slot. They lost a little bit of offensive linemen, but the defense is still pretty intact, especially that defensive line. So, you looked at like the preseason all CIAA picks. I mean, it was full of Virginia Union players. So Bowie State's got a lot of question marks coming in. Again, they're trying to address some of the things that they need through the transfer portal. But the one thing I did notice, like their offensive line is pretty young, and they didn't really have that great of a running game last year, even though they have returning rushers and a quarterback that is trying to stick in the NFL now. So the offense is a huge question mark. In addition to losing like a Josh Pryor, so that one I don't know on that one. That was kind of perplexing to me.
Yeah, you I'm doing a quick count here. Yeah, it's like 2 guys from Bowie State on that all CIAA team, and there's 8 from Union. But it's like, are the same people again? Are the same people doing the all? It makes you, I tell you, it makes you wonder. There's like an investigation that needs to happen, because like, wait a minute, you got 8 guys from Union, but you have them losing to Bowie, or I guess somehow finishing second. What other takeaways from the preseason predictions? Any other surprises or anything else that caught you?
Well, I was gonna say with Union, it might be like the player haters ball from Chappelle's show, and they go like hate, 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 hate. I mean, maybe that's what it is against Union. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of a conundrum there. Outside of that, I really don't think there's a ton of surprises here. I mean, you look at it, Virginia State, they're trying to get to that next level. I think they're probably right where they are. Shaw, I mean, Shaw
I feel like
every
we say that
year,
every year we're like, Shaw.
every year, right? So nothing more needs to be said about them. They've got a lot to prove yet again. Will they have enough? Who knows? At the bottom, I think Lincoln, not being super low is certainly worth looking at a little bit, because who's below them? You've got Livingstone, you've got St. Aug. I think even Elizabeth City's below them, and Lincoln's they've got some talent on the roster now. So it'll be interesting to see if they can turn that into a little bit more this year and take that next step.
Let's give some love. Let's kind of talk about the champs. I don't know if people do. You should know. They're the predicted order of finish. They are the defending champs. Fayetteville State, the Broncos, finally got over the hump, so we can kind of move past that narrative. We don't have to really talk about that story unless somebody's going to say, well, now let's see you do it again. I'm just saying, unless someone wants to do that. But I'm going to give them their flowers and say, this program finally achieved what, they've been there. They've been the second best program in the CIAA for the last 4 years, right there next to Bowie, obviously. So what's your thoughts on this Fayetteville State team coming back with the quarterback that helped win them that title last year? What do you think Coach Hayes has in the stable? Are they going to be good enough to actually win some of those non-conference games this year?
Well, they've got a very challenging non-conference slate. So, the CIAA now is down to 2 games for the second consecutive year. And who did they go out and schedule? They went out and scheduled UNC Pembroke in a rivalry game on Thursday night, and Lenoir-Rhyne.
They ain't scared.
I mean, that is intense.
They ain't scared. Fayetteville's like, come on, let's go. We'll scared. Let's go.
Right. So, and I think the Lenoir-Rhyne is really, really interesting, because I think they could play them close. It's a matter of, is there enough on offense to get past them? But I think the defense will keep them close. UNC Pembroke, that's nothing more than Chowan 2.0 right now. If we think about the fact that Mark Hall and much of his staff went over to Chowan in the offseason, a lot of the roster left Chowan and transferred to UNC Pembroke.
Wow.
So that is nothing more than the rivalry of Fayetteville State and Chowan mixed in with Fayetteville State and UNC Pembroke. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. As to Fayetteville State, the team, they had they had quite a few young pieces at key spots, and then they had a lot of depth, particularly on the defensive line. They lost one of their stars on the defensive line to the FCS, but then Cam Romero comes back. He flirted with the transfer portal, but decided ultimately to stay and kind of anchor that defense quite a bit. I think that defense is going to be just as good as it was last year, if the roster tells me anything. Again, it kind of comes down to Fayetteville State was a old school team that slugged it out in a lot of games last year. Not very high scoring in a lot of cases, but when you think they didn't have enough on offense, they got just enough, and you can't really just peg what that offense could be. So it's hard to count them out. It is a very hard team to count out. Richard Hayes finds a way more likely than not in a lot of ways.
All right, Kris. What about the new kids on the block? Bluefield State. Will they compete? Will they? Because they've played a few CIAA teams since they've rebirthed their football program and have beaten those CIAA teams. But let's keep this into perspective. They have played, for lack of a better words, the bottom dwellers of the CIAA.
Yep.
So from the outside looking in, it looks like Bluefield State will come in as a possible mid-tier team with that may steal a game against the lower echelons of that upper level. What do you have for them?
Well, right now it's a little bit hard to peg where they are because the roster hasn't come out for them. They're one of the very, very few teams right now that hasn't uploaded their rosters yet. So I have a hard time kind of pegging what they may look like. Last season they came back to beat John C. Smith in one of those heartbreaker games in overtime. They beat Elizabeth City, and that's kind of what you're referring to. I think that they're probably. I think they're like 9th in the preseason order. That's probably about right. So they got a long ways to go though to compete for a title in either division. Quite honestly, because remember they did play Virginia State, and that was an eye opener for them. I think it was like 30-47 was the score last time, and that just shows you how far they have to go. But I think that Coach Coaxum is making all the right moves. He doesn't stick recruiting in West Virginia. They travel to recruit, and so at least people will see what it takes to win, even in the CIAA, and make the necessary adjustments.
Lincoln, PA, Kris, they got to be a little. You mentioned them, but they got to be a little upset or maybe stumped at everyone picking Bluefield State to finish ahead of them. Not only within the division, but just overall. I'd be a little agitated if I were Lincoln, PA. Like when that game happens. Yeah,
Lincoln's just got a lot to prove, though. I mean, so Lincoln, their head coach last year, he actually moved up into administration. So Frank Turner is now the head coach there, who's the defensive coordinator. They have quite a few pieces coming back, but Lincoln just really hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt in a lot of cases, and they've got a lot of talent at the skill positions, but it just hasn't translated to long-term, like sustainable success just yet. So I've always looked at Lincoln with intrigued. I think this is a year that, them and Bluefield probably will slug it out to see who can finish behind Bowie, Virginia Union, Virginia State, which I think is a good place. That's progress for them. But man, they just you want to. Those are folks you really want to root for, at least to see what they can do. They've been down for so long. So,
Let me ask this question. As we think about teams and what type of season they might have, what coaches are on the, I hate to do it, hot seat this upcoming year? Who needs to have a good season to keep the boosters and the alumni base off their rear this year?
This is such a loaded question.
It is because I wanted to see what you were going to say. I would tell you who's mine, but I'm not the CIAA columnist. I'm gonna let you answer
Man,
it.
so like there are really two coaches that come to mind here. And the first one, I'm just gonna put it out there. I mean, Robert Massey's got a heck of a job ahead of him because Winston's faithful is just so used to winning, and they've just been down in the dumps for several years. And I don't think the alumni were ever really truly sold on him as somebody worthy of a 3-4 year contract. Now, granted, you know I think that the hiring of A&T's offensive coordinator Chris Barnett is a plus, and it's an upgrade from last year. Um, how far does that get him? Who knows? But I think that that's a step in the right direction. It's kind of like I did a show a few years ago where there was a defensive coach who said, I don't know, I don't deal with the offense. I leave it to the offensive coordinator. He was a defensive coach. That was his background, and he stuck to that because Massey is he was a defensive back, and Winston's defensive backs are typically really really good. I mean, and you see that, and I think that like if Winston maybe gets away from trying to like run the ball well over 30 times a game and see if they can develop a passing game, then it's a team to watch out for. They've got a lot of talent at the wide receiver position, and it's a matter of who's going to throw them the ball. So I think that he's not going to lose his job because Winston is not going to pay him out of his contract, but he's definitely got he's just got a lot of heat on him from the alumni in particular. The other coach I'll probably mention is Adrian Jones at Shaw, and they've just always been at the cusp. But when you're just there for so long, you start to wonder, well, what is it going to take to get over the hump? And Shaw last year, they just had bad luck because the injuries really piled up on them, and it really derailed them on what could have been a pretty good team. It was a lot of what ifs last year. So the hope is that you would see them kind of bounce back and really show up when it matters the most in division play.
Hey, I was just looking at Winston-Salem's schedule here, and outside of starting against North Carolina Central and on the road at this Ohio Dominican team, which actually I was looking at, they were a 7-3 team, 6-2. So tough. Look, it might be 0-2, but after that, look, it opens up like just coming out of a dark cloud where all of a sudden it's sunshine. You got Elizabeth City State at home, Bluefield State at home. You travel to Lincoln, PA. You got Livingstone. All that happening before Shaw. You could be sitting at 4-2 with 4 conference wins, 4-0 in conference.
Yeah, 4-0.
Yeah, so I think if you're less than that, I think be worried. Be worried, Ram fans, Ram Nation. Be worried.
Winston could be anything between 5-1 and 0-6. It's that wide open, and you just don't know what you're going to get. Because like Ohio Dominican, they're a good team. They're a really good team. But the issue with Ohio Dominican is that the top end of the CIAA can play with them. And I think you saw that like a year or two ago when Virginia State played them. They should have won that game. And it was the kicking woes that derailed them in that game. And so that kind of gave me hope that like the top of the CIAA. Now, I mean, yeah, it's a year or two ago, but it's the GOVC, no, the GMAC, and they're not like a top league like some of the other schools, like some of the other conferences are Division II. I think it's a good measuring stick for Winston to see where they are, because if Ohio Dominican drags them down the field, I would really be concerned. But if they can hang tough, even if they lose and they hang tough in that game, I'd be a little optimistic there going into that slate that you just mentioned. But if Winston goes like 1-5, 0-6, I mean, I might have to start ramping up my own donations or something at some point. I mean, I mean, that's just brutal if they can't string win streak out of that.
I'm telling you.
But Brian, who's the other team with those same 3 crossover games? That would be one Johnson C. Smith, who everybody has picked to kind of to move up. Same 3 crossover games, obviously a different order. So Johnson C has that same type of opportunity, except they get Shaw 1 week earlier. So it's gonna be interesting between those 2 teams.
And I throw out there that Johnson C. Smith's out of conference schedule is way easier as well. They play Walsh, who is also in the same conference as Ohio Dominican. And West Virginia Wesleyan.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see really early if Johnson Smith is going to have the offensive firepower that they seem to have, and whether it can work. Because if so, I think that's just a 2-0 Johnson Smith. That's going to throw some people for a loop.
People excited. That's going to get a lot of people excited.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Before we let you out of here, Kris, other than Jada Byers, give us a name or two that we should be looking for in the CIAA. Somebody that you think might be in the running for Player of the Year, or offensive or defensive, or maybe even that coveted Black College Player of the Year award.
Well, I would say that that whole talk can't start without Jada Byers coming back. We know that he can catch. We know that he can run. So, by far, I think he's the player to watch, not just at the conference level, but nationally. Remember, he finished 4th in the Harlan Hill Trophy for the best player in Division II last year. Yeah, absolutely.
The hate for running backs just carries on into the college level.
Well, and it's not just that, but it's also at the HBCU level too. I mean, that too, just that shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. But that's just me.
So he's a double minority.
He's a double minority, right? Absolutely. A couple other names to watch out for would be Sidney Gibbs at Shaw, who is also a very powerful runner. He is, my understanding from looking at the roster, is I don't think Andre Brandon is there. So if that's the case, then he doesn't have to split as many carries. So that will certainly be really interesting. Maybe whoever starts at quarterback of Virginia State, I think has a step, whether it's the transfer Romello Williams or Jordan Davis, could probably take a step in that direction as well, as somebody else to sort of look at. And then, like I said, if you got somebody like a Brevin Caldwell, wide receiver, John C. Smith, have another big splash this year, he could be another one to sort of look at the CIAA for Player of the Year.
Nice. You want to give any plugs or anything, Kris? Anything you want to plug or let people know about on the way out?
Well, at the Division II level, we also have our show as well, Inside D2 Football. That comes on actually in an hour that I'm on as well. I am doing my preseason prediction, which probably was likely going to differ from what the coaches put together. For what do I know? But that will be coming out probably Tuesday or Wednesday once I get all this stuff typed up, do all my research, and see if any more rosters get posted.
Sound like me in the SAC
Unbelievable.
information.
Unbelievable that these coaches don't have rosters up. I am stunned by that. Just unbelievable.
Well, maybe it's the SID, got a lot going on, or maybe they're just withholding information to try to get the leg up on the first game. But, conspiracy theories. But yeah, you catch me on Twitter as well. My handle's right down here, and looking forward to how week 1 plays out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, Kris, we always love talking to you. Always love catching up with the CIAA. You guys make sure to follow Kris. No, there's no better follow on Saturdays, especially if you love CIAA football, than following Kris on Saturday, because he'll have 5 TV monitors, and he's jumping from game to game, tweeting. I mean, good stuff, Kris. Always love following you on Saturdays. D2 Ferg, F-E-R-G, on X, formerly known as Twitter. And make sure you check out D2Football.com, where he's the CIAA columnist. Of course, AD is the SIC columnist. So shout out to D2Football.com. Thank you for supporting our brothers with some HBCU content. So, Kris, thank you, man. Thanks for your time this evening. Have a good show. We look forward to reading those predictions later in the week, all right?
I appreciate y'all always.
All right. Take care.
You, Kris.
All right. We're going to take a break. Coming up on the other side, Coach Farasi Norman's going to come on, and we're going to talk a little about, from a coach's perspective, what we saw from the celebration. I keep want to say the Celebration Bowl, the MEAC SWAC Challenge.
We saw a beatdown, Brian.
Yes, that we saw, but maybe we can find out why we saw the beatdown.
What John Grant said the get back.
Yeah, somebody got back, all right, for sure. Yeah,
that was the get back.
The get back. All right, hang in there with us. We're gonna take a short break. Come back on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
The CIAA Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call CIAA.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan, A.D. here. and it's a pleasure to be joined. Well, let's see.
I don't think Coach can hear us.
Coach, are you able to hear us?
If I need to log out, log back in for us, Coach, because we're getting some feedback.
All right, let's see, Coach. Let's see if we can get. We'll see if we can get message. Yeah.
While you get him straight, Brian, I'm gonna go over some of the comments that we've received in the chats. Let's go back to this one from Adrian Crook. Can't put that one up.
I thought you were reading these comments, Drew. What the heck? What the hell is going on out here?
But I'll read it without the expletive.
Jesus, Drew.
Adrian says, Father Ball, why he kept running those screens when that crap wasn't working. Talking about South Carolina State. Edward said, the more physical team won, give JSU their credit. Going on down the line. Changing the subject just a little bit. Braden draws in, and we're going to get into this in just a few moments. Bama State is going to blast Southern. I don't know about blast, but I think that's going to be a very competitive ball game. That Bama State defense comes to play like they did last year, then that game versus Southern should be real interesting. Royal Maxwell says, now it's FAMU time. The D-line will make Musa very comfortable. Royal, I will tell you this. If that D-line plays like they just played against South Carolina State, yes, they will make Musa very uncomfortable. But I think FAMU's line might be a tad bit better than the South Carolina State offensive line, at least in this one game sample that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to step away, Brian,
early predictions, huh?
Yeah, Tuskegee will win the SIAC championship. That was going to be a little tough there, John. You know, with the SIAC going away from divisions, the road for Tuskegee to get to the SIAC championship is going to be a lot tougher than it has been in the past. Let's take a look at Tuskegee's schedule. They opened up with Fort Valley, Kentucky State. Fort Valley being the Red Tails Classic on the road at Kentucky State. Then they host Central State and Lane at home. That Lane game is going to be tougher than most people traditionally think it will be. Then they take on Alabama A&M in Huntsville for Alabama A&M's homecoming before traveling to Birmingham for the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic. Then you've got the Edward Waters game, which they will be hosting. Savannah State. Don't know what to make about Savannah State, but here's the game, Brian. Coach Slater returns to Cleve Abbott Memorial Alumni Bowl.
What's the date on that?
That is October 28th, and that's homecoming for Tuskegee.
Oh, well, that's only fitting. Coach Slater, come on. Now, you know, I hope Tuskegee, and I'm gonna put this out there now. Tuskegee, you better have a video presentation. Now you got that new nice big board.
Big video board.
You better have a video presentation for the start of the second quarter so that, you know, you're welcoming back Coach, Coach and back to campus. And we thank you for all the years and everything you did.
He's only the second winningest coach in Tuskegee history.
You got to do it right. You only get one opportunity to do this right, Tuskegee. So, Coach Ruffin, go ahead and make that happen. Do right by your former coach there.
Right.
I think we got our guest ready, Drew. Whenever you
then, of course,
ready.
They travel to Fairfield to take on Miles, and then they have the Turkey Day Classic at Alabama State. So. It's going to be interesting with the SIAC since they've gone away from divisions. You can go ahead and bring on Coach if you
okay.
If you want to, Brian.
All right. So as we get ready to go, I want to bring on, let's see, we got Coach Farasi Norman. Coach, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
Hello?
All right. All
Okay,
right.
yes, I can hear you guys.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, joining the show right now is Coach Farasi Norman, a Langston University grad, and also
LU, and we're in blue.
over 20 years of coaching football. And one of the new things we're going to do this season, we're going to bring in Coach, give us that coaching perspective on some of these games and matchups. Because, you know, you guys like to listen to us chit-chat and talk all day. And then we get other people who write and talk about it. But, you know, sometimes we got to just have a coach who can come in and someone who's been there in the meetings, in the practices, and so on and so forth. So, Coach, welcome to the BCSN Sports Wrap, Black College Sports Network. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited, everything like that. Any way I can help, I sure will.
Hey, Coach, why don't we before we get into talking about the game, tell us a little bit about your background, some of your areas of coaching over the past 20 years, so you know people can get sort of the short form version of you. And I mean, obviously, we'll talk more during the course of the season, but just kind of give the elevator. What do they say? The elevator pitch, the elevator introduction.
No problem. I'm a proud graduate of Langston University. I played football and ran track there in 95, 96. From Albuquerque, New Mexico. Started coaching at Langston University. From there, I've always been at the small college level. You know, D2, D3, NAIA, junior college, college prep. I was a head coach at New Mexico Prep Sports Academy in my hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico from 2007 to 2011. Won a lot of games, helped a lot of young men move on to four-year universities, helped 250 young men. 25 of my guys went D1. Been coaching O-line since 2007. Love O-line. I tell people without O-line, you can't play the game. I'm old school. I like to run the ball. I know everybody these days like to throw the ball. Everybody's pass happy and everything like that, but I still believe in big, strong, solid offensive linemen running downhill. Love the game of football. Very educated. Have a bachelor's, master's in secondary education, and just looking to help anyone that's possibly looking for some assistance.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Right.
Well, you know, Coach, when you and I have had some great conversations offline, and of course, you know, last night you had the start of the season, week 0, MEAC SWAC Challenge, South Carolina State, Jackson State. Before we get into the particulars of the game, let's kind of just
as Coach chuckles over
already
there.
shaking his head, right? Let's talk about just the preparation that is going into the first game. Maybe take us from, you know, as you watch this game, you got a new coach, first year as the head coach for TC Taylor of Jackson State, and you've got the veteran Buddy Pugh, who announces his retirement two days before the kickoff. What's the preparation like for for Buddy Pugh in that situation, and then maybe TC Taylor in his role, first year head coach?
Start with TC Taylor first. I think TC was under pressure because since the day Deion resigned and went to Colorado, everyone's like, do we have the right guy? He's an alumni, he's from Jackson, but is he the right guy? You know, we all know he was offensive coordinator for 1 year, then Deion demoted him. So I think TC took this personal, like, hey, I'm a very good coach, and I was given this great opportunity, and I'm pretty sure he sat down with his coaches and his players and said, hey, you guys, I need this game. I need this game to show everybody who I am, that I'm not Deion Sanders, I'm TC Taylor. I was very surprised on the way they played, though, honestly. I thought that with so many people exiting that program, I thought that they would come out a little lethargic. I thought they would play hard because I figured that he would pump them up, but I didn't expect them to play the way they did, man. They looked like the Jackson State of the last 2 years. They looked good. They were physical. That offensive line, I was very impressed with that offensive line, man. They ran that ball well, especially that, like, was it the second or third play of the game when the guy had that 50, 60-yard run to the house? That guard stayed on his play. The tackle opened up that hole, and he hit it, man. I mean, as a running back, option quarterback, that's what we look for. Look for great play like that. I was very happy for TC because I know it's always good to get that monkey off your back, that first one, and get all the doubters, you know, to come out the closet and say, okay, you know, this guy's got something special. And I know he's got a big fan base with the Jackson alumni, but today I'm pretty sure he's got to have some people jumping on his bandwagon and say, hey, that was just a great job coaching. On the other sideline, Coach Pugh's a legend. I mean, I put him in the same category as I do with Eddie Robinson, who I think is the best football coach of all time, and Frank Gathers from your university, FAMU. to make that announcement early, I think it probably took some air out of the team, because the South Carolina State team that we're usually seeing playing, they're physical, they attack you. Doesn't matter when they got a new offensive coordinator or defensive coach. I mean, them guys play hard because of who their coach is. So I'm pretty sure as a player, I love this guy. And he announced that he's leaving. I think that took a little win out of South Carolina State, and that's what we saw, because we didn't see the same South Carolina team that we're used to seeing. They didn't play like the South Carolina team. I don't know what kind of season they're going to have. I can't predict that, but I know yesterday they just didn't play like the team that we're used to seeing playing. I mean, they got a great big offensive line. I mean, they got what in the 1980s when the Redskins had their team called the Hogs. They had them big boys, and then what Emmitt Smith had when they called the Wall. They got a line equivalent to that. And I thought that run game would just be tremendous running downhill. And they had some spurts here and there. They had a couple of freshman running backs that, pretty sure to be good in the future. And a little quarterback, he had a little turner corner and, little things of that sort. But they got pressured a lot. They gave up some sacks. So I'm thinking as a player, I was probably distraught because our leader of this program, the guy I love, the guy I want to image myself as, had just told me, hey, fellas, I'm walking away. So I think that was probably on South Carolina State's mind, like we're losing a great one, So I don't think they was really ready to play the kind of game that Jackson State came out to play. And then on the other hand, go back across the sideline, TC Tate was like, hey, in his coaching, we got this saying that everyone's got problems. And they got a problem, and we got our problem. Our problem is we got to prove to everybody we can still be Jackson State. Their problem is they got to figure it out because we ain't got time to figure out their problem. We got to win this game, and obviously we saw the outcome of the game. O-line-wise, once again, I was kind of shocked that South Carolina State played the way they played, being as big and as strong and physical as they are, because they got a big line. You can't no question about it. They got big boys, and everything like that. But I was very impressed with Jackson State, the way they came out. And they fired off the ball. They opened holes for the running back. They kept that quarterback upright. I was watching a show earlier when the one guy said, if you take out the 4 and put the 2, did you see a difference? And he was right. I mean, could you really tell the difference? I mean, because that man had time to drink tea, slice some cake, and throw the ball to the open receiver. I mean, that was just a beautiful job, well played by the offensive line.
Yeah. I made that comment earlier in the day. I want to go back to this Buddy Pugh just for a hot second, because I really think it's a non-factor in the outcome of this game. And what I mean by that is Jackson State was just the better team on yesterday. But I do kind of want to go back to the retirement announcement. We've seen this kind of two different ways. I remember I'm a basketball nut. So I remember when Dean Smith retired from University of North Carolina after all those years. And he did it like 2 days before the season began, right before the practice began, but he just walked away at that point in time. Got everybody there, made sure Coach Guthrie was set up, and just walked away. Here, it's yours. You got it now. And then sticking in the state of North Carolina, we kind of saw what Coach K did a couple of years ago. He announced that he had his farewell tour and everything else, and we've seen it kind of both ways. But Coach K announced his retirement early enough where, people had time to absorb it. Do you think with the changing landscape of football, especially this transfer portal, may have been the reason why Buddy Pugh held on to that? Because he didn't just wake up Thursday morning and say, I'm going to be done after this year. This is something that has been on his mind for a while, probably this summer while he was recruiting. But if he announces this too early in the recruiting season, now nobody wants to come sign. So he waits till school starts and everything is closed, where these kids are stuck here this year. Do you think maybe that has something to do with it? Maybe there may have been some ill feelings like, if I'd have known this man was leaving, I would not have came here. I would have went to XYZ University. Just your comments on that.
Thinking from a coaching perspective, I'm thinking that he probably figured that, like you say, the offensive coordinator and him are friends, and he just brought him through the summer. He knows his defensive coaches. You always think about your coaches first and your players second. Then he's got a good team behind him. Once again, him being an ex-O-line guy, he looked at those big figures right there in the trench saying, hey, I got a big offensive line. He looked at those two new freshmen that are very talented and they're young and they got good trail on their tires. So he said, I got good running backs. And I got guys on defense that can run sideline to sideline. So everybody wants to go out on top. Everybody wants to be like Buddy Ryan and Mike Dick carried off the field. So I'm pretty sure he conversates with his wife and said, baby, this is going to be my last one. Because I saw a show yesterday where they said, what are you going to do when you retire? He says, I want to do some traveling. I got some friends and coach I want to go visit. I want to do some golf and get back on my golf game. So, yeah, you're right. This wasn't something that he just woke up Thursday and said, I'm done. This is something that probably took place last spring. He talked over with his wife. But he wants to go out on top. And once again, looking at on paper, that big line, those young running backs, that quarterback, that athletic defense. He's thinking, I got a good year where I can probably win 7, 8, 9 and say, hey, South Carolina State, thanks for everything you've done for me, and walk out the door. I don't think he was expecting yesterday. I was happy to hear that he said he put it on him and the coaches, because I would have done the same thing. I always tell my players, not to get off subject, but I always tell everybody when we win, I congratulate my assistants and my team. When we lose, I blame the man in the mirror, and I got to get this fixed. So I was happy to see that he took responsibility with the coaches. Not to discredit you, AD, whatever like that, but I truly don't think Jackson State was really the better team, although they won the game. I really do think that when he made that announcement, a lot of air went out of the South Carolina State University balloon.
And I can respect that. You got a 6-year quarterback, coach. Let me say that again. You've got a 6-year quarterback. That is a rare luxury.
Yes, it is.
But you had a 6-year quarterback who honestly played like a freshman.
Can't really blame him though, because he didn't really get the help. Not to cut you off, brother, but he didn't really get the help he was looking for up front. I mean, as a 6-year veteran quarterback, you're looking for what he had. You're looking for them 6'5", 6. I mean, he ain't got the 6'2", 6'3", the 5'11", 250, 260s. This brother's got 6'6", 6'7", 6'5", 325, 350s. So he's probably expecting they're going to play a lot better than they did. Not blaming offensive line, because I'm an offensive line guy, offensive line coach, but they didn't play very well for him to show what he can do. You know, it starts in the trenches. It ain't the backfield, ain't the defense. It starts in the trench, and if they don't play well, everything falls down here, as we saw yesterday.
Let me finish my thought. So going back to that, you know what you have. You know what your quarterback is capable, because after 5-6 years, you know everything he can and cannot do at this point in time. But you saw that performance on Saturday. When you get back to the lab on most teams used to go back at it on Tuesday. What do you do? What do you change? How do you fix this?
The first thing you do is you get with the offensive line and you have a heart-to-heart with them. You ask them to look each other in the face, look themselves in the mirror, and ask them, who are you and why are you here? Because that performance Saturday was not us. That performance Saturday can never happen again, fellas. And you look at the O-line coach and be like, hey, buddy, I need a little more from you. You know, this whole group right here, this is a circle, and I'm included because I'm the head coach and I'm an O-line guy myself. So we have to get this fixed before next game, because we got a 6-year starter. I mean, we got a 6-year veteran at quarterback. We know what he can do. We got 2 or 3 young guys in the backfield. We know what they can do. We know what the defense can do, but it starts right here. We have to get this fixed. Not a lot of yelling and screaming and pointing fingers. Everyone has to take fault. The head coach, the O-line coach, and them guys out front that was on that line, because they just didn't play very well. Let's just be real about it. But it can be fixed. You know, the ship ain't sinking. It can be managed, plugged, and bonded back together. But we got to get this done now. We have to get this done now. And that's me speaking from a coach's perspective. And I've been in those situations.
Let me add to this, Drew, since we're talking about the South Carolina State and the offense and all. Obviously, they had, Coach had mentioned they had a new offensive coordinator who just started in the summer. But when you go in, you said something, Drew, about knowing what you have. Mm-hmm. Okay. When I go and look at the career stats of Corey Fields, the 3 full seasons that he has been the quarterback at SC State, not counting the COVID 2020 year, he's never been over a 50% passer. Never. 50.5 in 2019 was his best career year. 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, that's just passing. Corey actually, he has a little bit of a rushing game as well, so he does some stuff there. But if you have an offensive line, Coach, like what you've seen South Carolina State have, why we're speculating here. So I know you didn't make the calls, but I'm just thinking, why are 5 of your first 6 plays passing plays, and you're not running those freshmen? When you have young freshmen, is there something that you don't think? What is it about freshmen that might make a coach apprehensive about focusing or featuring them in the very first or second drive of the game? Because we didn't see those freshman backs really get going until the 3rd drive.
Okay, we're going to start backwards. You're the new offensive coordinator. You've been there before, if I'm not mistaken. I think he coached there before for a couple of years, and then he went down to the D3 level, and coach brought him back. You got this 6-year veteran quarterback, so you want to kind of highlight him. Yeah, we know he's already graduated. He's working on his master's, so he's smart, he's educated. But still, you want to kind of highlight this guy because everyone knows I like to run the ball. That's why I was brought here, this big line. I got these young, talented running backs. So you want to try to give this quarterback an opportunity to get back there, go through his progressions, throw the ball. You got some talented receivers. And you want to make sure that the defense of Jackson State doesn't think, we just already know they're going to run the ball because everyone pretty sure they did their homework on his offense coordinator. He likes to run the ball. Everyone did their homework knowing South Carolina State's got a great big offensive line. And I don't know if anyone knew about these freshman backs unless they were just paying attention to the recruiting list. But they know this guy's got a running background. He got this big offensive line. So you try to highlight your quarterback a little bit to give him some confidence to say, you're our 6-year man. You're a veteran. You're educated. Ball's in your hand. Now, as far as freshman running backs go, we're all a little tempted. a little scared to play freshman because if he messes up, then his excuse is, I'm a freshman. As a coach, you can't really get on him because he's a freshman, and everything sort of like that. So you want to take the pressure off that freshman by saying, hey, look, we got a passing game going. We just need you to hold the ball and run downhill, follow the big fellas downhill. I can't really answer any more questions because I'm not off. I don't know the guy. I just know that me thinking if I'm in his shoes, that's my mindset. Highlight my 6-year veteran. Let's take some pressure off these young kids here. And if we happen to get up by 2 or 3 touchdowns, let's just, show what they can do by running the ball. They gave them the ball often and early. And once again, I saw a couple good runs by the freshmen, but they didn't just get a chance to get loose because, I think it went downhill so fast. No one was expecting that, and Jackson State did what Jackson State was supposed to do, keep pouring it on. And so they didn't have time to dry off and get refreshed. They they had to stay in the mud and just keep getting slapped. And it was like, wow. And before you know it, what was it, 34-0 before they even scored, or 37-0 before they scored?
37 straight points before they scored with 22 seconds left. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you love your freshmen because they're the future, but you kind of be cautious with them because if they make a mistake, first thing everyone's going to say is he's just a freshman.
Mm-hmm. Let's go sort of big takeaways. Your big 3 takeaways from this MEAC SWAC challenge. Jackson State gets the 2nd consecutive win for the SWAC, which I think is I'd like to think that the narrative is starting to change, or maybe all depends on what happens at the end of the year. But let's go. What are some of your big takeaways? Your biggest takeaways from the game last night?
Okay, Brian. When you say takeaway, are you saying like negatives or positives?
You can go whatever direction you want to go, positives or negatives. Your 3 big takeaways, whichever way you want to go with it, Coach.
First of all, let's start with what we started the conversation with TC Taylor. Getting that monkey off his back, because I'm pretty sure everybody thought that he was going to drown, fail, and he had something to prove. First-time head coach at his alma mater. A lot of people, didn't really want him to get the job, but he got the job. And all spring, summer long, everybody was downplaying his brother. So I give 2 thumbs up and kudos to Coach Taylor by the way he handled himself on the sideline. Like I say, I heard somebody else say earlier, he wasn't micromanaging his coaches. I micromanage mine because once again, it's my name, it's my team, but he wasn't micromanaging his. He was letting coaches coach, which is good. He was letting the quarterback do his thing. He was letting the O-line do their thing. He sat there when he needed to. He made adjustments, which is a good part on a head coach. The second part was Jackson State's O-line. I was kind of shocked myself to see that they blocked the way they did. I knew they had good running game, everything like that, but let's be real. The last couple of years, they highlighted Shadur's golden arm. So, but the way they blocked for that run game, I was very, very impressed. I was like, wow, okay, that's 2 thumbs up there. And the third thing was just the way that South Carolina State played. And once again, I'm going to think this as a player. I came to play for Coach Buddy Pugh. He's a legend. He's one of the best to ever do it at this level, any level. Let's just take HBCU out of it at any level. The man's a coach. And so I came to play for him. And 48 hours before our kickoff, he says, hey, you got this, my last go round. Some air goes out of you like, huh? Some air, your music turns down, some air goes out of you like, no, Coach, come on. And if you're a freshman, sophomore, you're like, Coach, come on. You said you're going to be here for me to graduate. And he's like, no, there's some of the things I want to do. You're kind of distraught, and that hurts the team. That really does hurt the team, So I'm going to say that South Carolina State, that wasn't a team that we're used to seeing. And I think it's because of that information that they got was a big blow. Now, I have no doubt that Coach Pugh and his coaches will get them back up and running to be the team we're used to seeing. But I really do think that because of that announcement he made right then and there, hurt them.
I want to add I want to see what your thought is on one other thing. When I went back and listened to the broadcast from ESPN, Jay Walker and Tiffany Green, one of the things that I heard, and obviously the running back from Jackson State, Irv Mulligan, 13 carries, 109 yards, and 1 touchdown. Of course, he had the 46-yard touchdown in the first possession for Jackson State. He was a Wofford transfer. Wofford University runs a triple option, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was highlighted the fact that you got a guy who transferred who's used to running between the tackles, and he looked really good. I mean, I'm looking at Mulligan is 5'10", 205. So what's it like talk about the advantage when you got a young man who has run for the last 3-4 years in that type of offense, and now you get him sort of in this spread offense a little bit, or this up-tempo spread offense. Could we be looking at a young man that, if he keeps on this pace, could he be a 1,000-yard rusher in this Jackson State offense?
Oh, no doubt. He can easily be a 1,000-yard rusher. I think he proved that yesterday. As long as he's carrying the ball 14, 15 times a game, I don't think he needs 20. 14, 15 carries a game with those big runs that he had yesterday. I have no doubt he'll eclipse a 1,000-yard mark. He comes from a team that's Wofford, which is known for running, so he's already used to running the ball. I'm pretty sure in high school he was probably the man wherever he was, so he's used to running the ball. So now he's got something to prove as an athlete. He's got to prove to head coach T.C. Taylor, the offensive coordinator, the offensive line, like, hey, believe in me, trust in me. I will help us continue the success that you guys have previously been having. Speaking as an ex-running back, we get excited when we're in the backfield. We got that big line in front of us, and that play is called I Write 36 Die. Like, and I'm just calling out a play. I Write 36 Die. You're like, okay, that's me. Boom. I left 35 died. Boom. Okay. 38 sweep. Like, boom. Okay. So you like that, and you're having success. Everybody's patting you on the back, and you're saying, this is the reason why I came here. So I see great things for that young man this year. I think he'll easily be one of the better, as long as he stays healthy. I think he'll be one of the better running backs in the SWAC. I was very impressed with him. And once again, we got to give credit to them guys up front, because if they don't do their job, he can't do his job, and everything sort of like that. That run he had to the house was a beautiful block. You go back and you look at that guard stepped up, and he was very, very patient. He just didn't go attack that. I think that was a safety or an outside linebacker that came down. He waited for that guy to come, and he's a big, strong, physical guy. He moved him out the way. That tackle drove the other guy out of the way, and that hole just opened up like the Red Sea, and the young man did his job as a running back, took it to the house.
Do you on the call? It was noted that maybe potentially that South Carolina State player made a bad read or was out of in a bad assignment. Would you say, when you watch that play, would you say, hey, that was a just great offensive line play, or to what level was probably some of that on the defender being in the bad spot, wrong spot, or do you give more credit to the offensive line for making a good play there?
As a defensive player, you're really never in a bad spot. Got to think about this. Defense jails faster than offense, because all you got to do is run to the ball. So when that young man has the ball and he's coming to the right side as a defensive tackle, outside back, or safety, you're running to the left. So I'm not really going to say they were out of position or out of assignment. I'm going to say that was just great blocking by the guys up front, because you go back and break down that play, starting with that left tackle, starting with the tackle. He was on the right side, looking at my TV, left side, whatever it was. That tackle did a great job of driving that guy backwards. That's what we preach as O-linemen. Push that sled backwards and push drills. Get the guy in front of him, hands in front, butt down, head up, push him back. Great job by the tackle. That guard, once again, like I just said, he didn't just automatically run downhill and look for somebody to block. He stayed there. He was patient. He saw that guy coming. He jumped on him. He attacked him. Running back saw the hole and took it. So I'm going to say that was just great job blocking by the offensive line.
That's a great point. I expect you to say that, but that was I love that. I love that. Give some credit to the big fellas up front. Hey, Coach, before we let you out of here, week 1 is coming up. I'm not going to ask you about a particular game or anything like that, but let's talk. Just give people who are going to be watching their favorite team this weekend, give them something that they can look for from offensive linemen from the upfront game. What's something that maybe a casual viewer misses or doesn't watch that our listeners, our viewers can sort of pay attention to this upcoming weekend?
when you're watching a football game, a lot of people just watch the game. They watch the running back run, they watch the quarterback drop and throw it, watch the receiver wide open. But when you watch the game, watch the trenches, watch the hand play, the 3-point stance, butt down, head up. Is his back arched? Is he ready to spring? Is he on his toes? If he's flat-footed, then you know he's not ready to fire off ball. But if he's on his toes and them knuckles are down, you know he's ready to go. Next thing is feet work. A lot of guys think that because these guys are great big guys and they got bellies and wide butts that they don't got good feet like running backs, receivers. They do. So you watch his feet. They're not crossing over each other. He's stepping to the left. He's stepping to the right. He's stepping forward with the right foot. He's stepping left with the left foot. Those are the kind of things. And then his shoulders. Make sure his shoulders are down. Then last but not least is his hands. Is his hands inside the shoulder pad. You know, not out wide. That's when we get caught holding. That's easy call for a referee. But the hands are in the inside. Like we teach him thumbs up. Hands. Your hands around his chest. And you got him right there. That's good. That's a good block from any offensive line. Pass blocking, run blocking. That's a good job at offensive line. So those are the kind of things that I tell people when you look for the offensive line, look for those. And then the next play. Does he take plays off? On the first down, did he fire off? But second, third down, was he lazy? And fourth down, did he just sit there and block for the punt team? Or is it play after play after play? Is he firing off? And he's loving the game. He got like big Eric Williams. Remember from the Cowboys, you would see Eric Williams in the fourth quarter. He's got a smile on his face because he's killing that defensive tackle. He's killing him. And you got to love that as an O-line coach and other excuse my language, fellas, other offensive linemen. You just got to look there and say, wow, this guy's having fun. And so when you got 5 guys jumping up and down, and no matter what coach is calling the offense play run game, pass game, they got their heads up and down and they're blocking well. Quarterbacks upright, running backs are getting 5-6 yards a pop. That's a good group. But feet work, hand placement, and firing up the ball is the first thing I tell people watch for that offensive line. I'll be watching some games. I don't know really who's playing this weekend, but I'll be watching 3 or 4 games this weekend, and that's what I look for. I'm not really worried about what the quarterback or the running back or defense is doing. I watch the big guys in the trenches and make sure they're having fun and doing their job.
Coach, I love it. Love everything that you brought to the table. We can't wait for next weekend. Obviously, next Sunday when you come back, you're gonna be able to give us some offensive line plays, whether it be some input, some teams or some plays, good, bad. You know, I know we don't want to spotlight the bad too often, but if it's bad, we got to say it's bad. You know, we keep it real around here. So, but we're looking forward to a great season with you here on the network. Are you on social media? Are you big on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that?
I don't have a Facebook, but I do got a Twitter. It's at Coach Farasi. I got email and everything like that at coachfarasi@gmail.com. You know, so anyone who's trying to get a hold of me, I'm not hiding. I'm easy to find. I can always give out my phone number if that's respectful, how I should say it, you know, anything like that. But yeah, I am on Twitter at Coach Farasi. Got a lot of people following me. I'm really surprised because I just got a Twitter built up like 3 months ago, and I got a lot of people following me, so I feel good about that. There, I don't really know much about Twitter. One of my old coaches was like, "Hey, coach, you need to get Twitter. That's where it's at these days." And he's like, "I'll build it for you." And so he built it for me. And every so often I check in. First, I had like 2 or 3 followers. Then I had 10 or 12 followers. Now I got high double-digit, 3-digit number followers. I'm like, whoa, okay, so I am somebody in this game. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Bryan and A.D., I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you guys hosting me this season. And hopefully towards the end of the season, someone out there will recognize who I am and pull the trigger on me because I'm itching to get back on the field.
There you go.
You know, I love talking football. Don't get me wrong. I love getting on the board. But ain't nothing like being on that field, smelling that grass, being around coaches and players, getting ready for Saturday afternoon.
There you go, Coach. Love it. That's
until you get that 100-degree heat.
I'm from New Mexico, brother, so you know you got to come with it.
Oh yeah, I believe you. Hey, Coach. Just one thing before you go. Your alma mater started off 0-1 this year. They had a week 0 game. Also, they lost to Mid-America Nazarene 24-21 in overtime on Saturday. So I had to break that to you, Coach.
Look, see, Coach, see how you did
at
it
home
on the first day. I was going to wait until after Coach left to talk about that. I wasn't going to do that to the man on the first. See how you be hazing people, Drew? See how you be hazing folks up on the first show? Come on.
It's HBCU love, man. It's HBCU love all the way around here, man. You know,
it's all good,
because I guarantee you, the moment FAMU or Tuskegee loses, he's going to be on my you know what also. So it's all
and like Chris Tucker said, and you know this, man.
Well said, Coach. Oh, beautiful. All right. Make sure you guys hit Coach up at Coach Farasi, Farasi. Hit him up on Twitter. Let him know you appreciate the knowledge. Offensive line. One advice on Twitter, Coach, tweet about offensive line play. People will eat it up because we don't hear people talking about it, you know? So yeah, that's my one Twitter advice. Talk about offensive line play any and every chance you get on Twitter, and I'm telling you, people will eat it up, and you have that'll go from 3 digits. The followers will triple, and probably real soon because it's football season, and we're ready to go. People are eating it up right now. So, all right, Coach, we'll talk offline, and we'll talk more. We'll look forward to having you on the show next week, and I appreciate your time tonight. All right.
Hey, you guys have a good one. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, sir. All right. You guys make sure to check out and hit up Coach Farasi right there on the formerly known as Twitter X. All right. Let's take a break and come back. Finish up talking about the week 0 games. Drew already mentioned one of the HBCU contests. There was another close game. Isn't it funny, Drew? The feature game was the blowout game, and the other 2 games were actually pretty competitive and close.
And not seen.
Well, no, one of them was seen. You could have seen one of them.
You could have seen one of them, but
yeah, you could have seen one of them. The other one, they don't even have stats up on. Well, anyway, let me not.
I found the stats, Brian.
Okay, good. I found them on the other. Okay, anyway, yeah. I know where you found them. So, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're on the same page. All right. Hey, let's take a short break. Come back right on the other side. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, A.D, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D here. Want to again thank Coach Norman, Coach Farasi Norman, for joining us. You guys make sure to hit him up on Twitter at Coach Farasi and let him know you appreciate him. Also, make sure you go back and hit up Kris Ferguson as well at D2KFerg, Ferg. and we appreciate him. Got a text. I'm sitting here like, I get a text during the show. I'm like, who's this from? For some reason, I don't have it saved. That's the worst, isn't it? Okay. Obviously, you mentioned one of the there were 3 HBCU games being played on week 0. Obviously, we know Jackson State defeated South Carolina State 37-7. You also had, as Drew just mentioned, Langston hosting Mid-America Nazarene. And that game went into overtime as Langston had a 21-14 lead with about 12:40 in the fourth quarter. Nazarene ended up tying the game up at 21 with about 10:06 to play. And then they went into overtime, Drew. And Nazarene ended up, I was trying to see if I could pull up the play-by-play here. Let's see who got the ball to start.
You would assume that Nazarene had the ball first.
Nazarene had the ball first. They scored. Yep.
The field goal.
Langston's field goal attempt from the 10 was blocked. And so Langston had a blocked field goal on 4th down, 4th and goal, actually. And that was the ball game. And so Langston starts the season 0-1. That was against another NAIA opponent, different conference from what Langston plays. I was just looking at Langston's schedule here. Langston's a part of the Sooner Athletic Conference. And that was their one non-conference game on the schedule. So they do have a bye week. Actually, according to the schedule, they've got 2 weeks off before they take on Louisiana Christian University at home. So I don't know. Maybe there might be a game that could get added. I don't know. Are you adding games this late into the year, Drew?
No.
No? Okay. So
no. Your schedule is what your schedule is.
All right. Florida Memorial traveled to West Virginia to take on Bluefield University. No.
Oh,
not,
okay.
Not Bluefield.
This would be the red and white Bluefield then.
Yes, this would be the red and white. This would be Bluefield University, not to be confused with Bluefield State University, the HBCU, in the same area.
And Brian, I do believe Bluefield is in Virginia and Bluefield State is in West Virginia, but they're right there on the border, like literally across from each other.
Well, the press release or the game summary I'm reading says Bluefield, West Virginia.
Okay.
Who knows?
But
maybe that could be
maybe the university is in Virginia and the stadium is in West Virginia. I know there's a Bluefield, Virginia, and there's a Bluefield, West Virginia, and they're like really one large town, if I'm making sense.
Yeah. So
kind of like Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. That makes sense. See, thank you. That makes sense. So Florida Memorial had a record-setting afternoon. Unfortunately, their chances of a win came up short as a pass was intercepted in the end zone, which helped preserve a victory for Bluefield, 50-47. Florida Memorial amassed a team total 685 yards. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go back here. I'm reading actually right here from FMUathletics.com. So I'm trying to skip around to get to the main bullet points, but I don't want to throw this off here. The much improved offensive line of Florida Memorial set records on the afternoon, including total team offense, 685 yards, as well as total team rushing. Florida Memorial ran for 379 yards. Florida Memorial running backs combined for 6 rushing touchdowns. They also had 42 first downs, which is a school record. Quarterback Antoine Williams was 25 for 44, 306 passing yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions. Unfortunately, there was a pick 6 involved in that, which went back 90 yards. So, a few self-inflicted wounds there for Florida Memorial. But not a bad start. I feel like Florida Memorial's been in these kind of shootouts before. If nothing else, this is an offense that is not shy about putting up points over these last few years. And so,
yeah, different coach, same MO. But Brian, look where they're located at, Brian. They're down there in South Florida. I mean, 4-4s are like flowers growing down there in that part of Florida, man.
they grow on trees, huh? Is that what you're
They
saying?
grow on trees, man. 4-4s grow on trees.
Well, this weekend, Florida Memorial, at least they've got a game under their belt. Be interesting to see if there's an advantage to that, to playing that contest, because they're playing in the Big Cat Classic at in Jacksonville, at Florida, at Edward Water, excuse me. And I think this is in the series. This is the 3rd year of this series, and I think each team has won at home. So we'll see what happens this upcoming Saturday. Excuse me, cough. Good Lord. Any other points? What? Say what? Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say any final points that we want to get on about week 0 before we kind of close it up.
Well, I just wanted to touch on something. Speaking of the Big Cat Classic in Jacksonville, Florida, obviously, if you've been paying attention to the news, there was a something tragic that happened literally right around the corner from Edward Waters University on this past Saturday. There was a racially motivated shooting that happened like less than a block or two from their campus, and it affected the Kings community, as they call it over there. So right there on New Kings Road. So our prayers go out to the Edward Waters family and those in Jacksonville, although I do not think anyone who attended the university or anybody who worked for the university was directly involved in it. If you've been in that area in Jacksonville, that's it's a community. It's definitely a close-knit community. A lot of community support for Edward Waters over there. That is the oldest HBCU in the state of Florida, the only Division II HBCU in the state of Florida. And if you go to Dr. Faison's Twitter, I believe it's Millennial Perez is his handle on Twitter, if I have that correct, Brian. He gives about an 8-minute statement on the incident. And shout out to Dr. Faison for not only being a leader within the confines of the university, but within the community of Jacksonville, Florida.
That's Millennial Prez, PREZ1. That's Dr.
I forgot the one.
Yeah, A. Zachary Faison Jr. Yeah, so it's Millennial Prez, PREZ1. and I was just reading, looking at his post from 3 hours ago. In solidarity with the city of Jacksonville and the Newtown community, Edward Waters University will cancel its prayer vigil scheduled for Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on its campus. So that was something that was set to happen, but that was canceled. But as you said, you can go to his web page or his Twitter feed there, and so just keep that community in your thoughts and prayers. Okay. The upcoming games, week 0, there's at least, I just counted 9 games involving HBCUs happening on Thursday. So Thursday, August 31st, the last day of August, actually kicks off the start of week 1. And there's only 2 of those 9 games where actually the HBCU is hosting. Kentucky State is hosting Clark in Frankfort, Kentucky. And Lincoln, PA is hosting Clarion and Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. Those are 7 o'clock Eastern scheduled kickoffs. The other HBCU games, you've got Virginia Lynchburg traveling to Carson Newman in Jefferson City, Tennessee. You've got West Virginia State traveling to Morehead State in Morehead, Kentucky. You've got Fayetteville State taking on UNC Pembroke. Chris Ferguson was just talking about that contest. That'll be that'll be a good one. That'll be in Pembroke, North Carolina. Albany State is traveling to Wingate in Wingate.
That'll be a good one.
That should be a good one too. A debut of Coach Quinn Gray there at Albany State. Lincoln, Missouri is traveling to take on Emporia State in Emporia, Kansas.
And Lincoln, Missouri is going to a new conference this year. They are, I forgot the name of the new conference, but
really, they're in a new conference. How did we miss that? I don't think I've heard anybody talk about that. Did we?
I know I mentioned it when it first came out, but they are in a new conference, and they're adding baseball, and they joined a new conference this year.
You know what? That's got to be that hopefully is a positive. Because I hate to say the conference they were in was
a beast.
It was. I'm not going to use the word hard, but it was.
In football, definitely, and in basketball, it was very competitive. Although Lincoln did hold their own, but they were no better than a 500 team in that conference.
Yeah,
in basketball.
Okay, and then a couple of what we call payday games, paycheck games that'll be featured on the ESPN Plus network. You've got UAPB traveling to play Tulsa in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and North Carolina A&T traveling to UAB in Birmingham, Alabama. Those are 8 o'clock Eastern games. So the Aggies, they're going to open their season at UAB, and then UAPB traveling to Tulsa. So that is the Thursday slate of games. So I don't know. Is that Kentucky State Clark? Is that a SIAC count 'em game, or is that one of those non-conference conference games?
Look at the schedule. That's a good question, Brian. You would think I would know as the SIAC expert.
Not to put you on the spot or anything. Not to put you on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I had the master conference schedule somewhere deep buried in my email, but I don't know where that is as of right now.
Yeah.
No. I actually had the master schedule from the conference on which games counted.
Oh, okay. Oh. So
from what I'm looking at, Brian, just looking on the surface, that should not be a conference game.
Okay. Accounting
because usually when you play yes, it doesn't count against the conference record.
Okay. And Doc did chime in and say that Lincoln and Missouri is playing in the Great Lakes Valley Conference.
Right.
Great Lakes
And
Valley.
that conference goes north, more towards Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri.
Let me guess. Near the Great Lakes. Hey-o.
Ching. versus their former conference, which was Missouri, Kansas, into those regions. I mean, more west, Oklahoma.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go through because I don't want to be here forever. I've been only off the road for about an hour and a half, so mentally I may just fall asleep right here on the air if we go too much longer tonight. I'm mentally fatigued. I got to figure out a better method of travel than driving. Yeah, save the jokes.
It's called airline.
Save the jokes. Okay. Here are some of the spotlight games. I'm going to go back to our show that we did with Jamie Walker, our ultimate HBCU football road trip. And some of the big games that I gleaned from that week. So you guys in the chat room, feel free to let us know if there's a game on here that we miss. But here's some of the matchups for week 1. And then we need to pick 5. We got to decide, Drew. Our pick 5 contest, AD and I do always, is we find 5 games and we pick those 5 games straight up. No point spread, straight up.
We only got to pick 4 because for this year, let's make sure our game of our road trip is one of our 5. Let's have some fun with it.
What do you mean the game of our
the game that we picked on that ultimate road trip? Let's just make sure that's one of our 5.
So okay, so are we actually going to? I like that, but that means okay. So we're not picking the same 5 games. I thought that's.
We can say that's 2 of our 5. That means we need to go find 3 more in common.
Or how about this? We do 4 the same, and then what you said, which is one of the road trip games.
Okay, I can live with that.
All right, there we go. Okay, so. Let's start with, well, here we go. Spotlight games we got.
Hey, Brian, you might want to start with what was our road trip game first so we can go ahead and get that one out the way.
All right, here we go. The road trip games, okay? Drew's road trip game was Bowie State at Delaware State. Mine was Tennessee State at Notre Dame. I think you know who I'm going to pick. Sorry, Tennessee State. Not picking y'all.
Did you see Notre Dame play this weekend against Navy?
When you have a quarterback, as we saw in Atlanta, when you have a quarterback, all of a sudden your whole perspective on the season looks really good. I'm just saying, Notre Dame got a quarterback, but yeah, it's like Jackson State. Yeah, you got reason to be excited when you got a quarterback. But anyway, so Bowie State at Delaware State, Drew. Who you going with?
I want to go
get
with
my
the
notebook out because I got to write these down. Apparently, go ahead.
I want to go with the upset. Delaware State, new coach, but as I get deeper into this, I don't know what Bowie actually has. But since Bowie was picked to win the CIAA North, I think I'm still leaning towards Bowie. Pick it up to W.
All right. Okay, so here are the other matchups that are worth paying attention to. Of course, I should save that for last. I'm gonna save that for last because it's not on Saturday. We've got Fort Valley State versus Tuskegee. That's the Red Tails Classic in Montgomery, Alabama. We've got Grambling State versus Hampton in the Brick City Classic in Harrison, New Jersey at the Red Bull Arena. You've got Prairie View versus Texas Southern. That is a SWAC. That's a SWAC West conference game, Labor Day Classic in Houston. That's going to be a big game. Big game. Virginia Union versus Morehouse in the Hall of Fame Classic in Canton, Ohio. You've got Florida Memorial traveling to Edward Waters in Jacksonville for the Big Cat Classic. We've got Shaw traveling to Benedict. Big CIAA versus SIAC matchup. Winston-Salem is traveling to North Carolina Central. Alabama State is traveling to Southern. And then we have the Orange Blossom Classic in Miami Gardens, Jackson State versus Florida A&M. Well, Drew, what are the what are our thoughts here for the 4 games, huh? Maybe a couple of let's see. How about we go back and forth? We each pick one, and that way, and we have to go with whatever we pick. That we have to pick. So
I think one of the games are going to be in going to be easy for us.
No, it's not. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But go ahead. Go ahead. It's your call. You do what you want to do.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with my alma mater, and I am going to go with my second alma mater, and I am going with the Tuskegee Fort Valley game.
Okay.
Tuskegee has dropped the last 2 Red Tail Classics, but Tuskegee is 8-2 against Fort Valley in the last 10. Tuskegee breaks the trend and rights the ship in Montgomery, Alabama on Sunday.
All right, so you're going Tuskegee. This is an early match. Now, this doesn't count towards the conference, right? This is a non-conference game.
No, this is non-conference match. Yes.
You said, and it's interesting what you said.
And I'm going to tell you this: they do have the preseason player of the year on Fort Valley and Emmanuel Wilson.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I think Fort Valley is a team that's going to be a factor in the race for the SIC. So I'm going to pick against you. I'm going to go with the team that's winning this thing, dominating this thing. I'm going to go with I'm going to go Oppo U. I'm going to go Fort Valley State in this one. I go Fort Valley State. So there we go. There's one. We're opposite ends on a game there. Okay, my turn. My pick, right?
Yes.
Let's go with a SWAC matchup. I got 3 to choose from that I just of the list that I just gave. I got 3 to choose. The one I'm most interested in, the Labor Day Classic in Houston, Texas. PV versus Texas Southern. So that's the game I'm picking. Prairie View versus Texas Southern. Okay, so since you picked it, I'll go first with my pick. I know Prairie View has dominated this thing, but if Texas Southern is going to be who they say they want to be, if this is the year for Andrew Body, if this is the year Texas Southern and Coach McKinney becomes a player in the SWAC West, it starts with winning this game. So I will pick Texas Southern in this game as my pick to beat Prairie View. Hadn't happened in a long time, but I'm going with Texas Southern. Who you got?
Don't
take too long now. This is
no. This is just interesting what I just pulled up
regarding that game.
No, regarding this next game, but Brian.
All right, you're one ahead of me. Go ahead.
It's got to be the OBC, Brian.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You
got
haven't
to
given,
be.
wait, stop. You haven't given the pick for Prairie View versus Texas Southern.
My bad. This game is going to come down to one thing, Brian. Well, two things. Can Andrew Body stay upright? And can Texas Southern play some defense? I think the running game from Prairie View is going to be too tough. And Prairie View is going to be victorious in this game.
All right. So we're already
we opposite
two games
twice.
already. All right.
Yes.
Here's your second game. Don't do it.
It's the OBC. It's the OBC, Brian.
Oh, screw you.
Oh, do you want me to lead OBC for you?
Right, you pick.
I'll pick another game.
No, go ahead.
I'll pick
go
another
ahead.
game.
You want to pick this game so badly. Go ahead. You're going to force me to have to pick. Go ahead.
I'll pick another game. I will pick
I don't want to talk you off
game.
of it. If this is the game you want, pick
No.
this game. You just found something interesting, so I'm curious to hear what it is you found interesting.
No, I want you to pick. Then I can let you know what I found interesting.
No, it's your pick of the game. So you pick the game that we are picking. Come on now, Drew. Let's move it along here. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
How about Benedict and Shaw?
All right, so your second selection is Shaw.
How about Benedict Shaw?
At Benedict.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Shaw, the team in the CIAA that everybody's been waiting to get over the hump and see if they could challenge Fayetteville in the South. Benedict, the question that with Benedict is who's going to be playing quarterback for them this year? You know, they have Luper Danellis coming back, Defensive Player of the Year in the SIAC. Top defense in the SIAC. Most of those guys are returning. What will the offense look like? Because as good as Benedict was, Eric Phoenix made plays last year. They were a good offense, but they weren't a great offense. They had a quarterback who was great at making plays. So what becomes of that offense this year? I think Benedict has enough to be victorious in this game, but I think this game is going to let us know what kind of season to expect from Benedict this year as they go through. And if my memory serves me correct, this would be like 14 regular season victories in a row should they pick up this victory on Saturday. Because they won 10 in a row last year, and I believe they won like their last 3 going back to the 21 seasons.
Okay. Good stuff.
Let's see if
Good
I can
stuff.
figure that
Okay. So for the fifth game and my second selection, I'm going with a classic. I'm going to go Grambling versus Hampton in the Brick City Classic. I think this is going to be an interesting year for Coach Hugh Jackson, who is still looking for a winning season as a head coach, no matter the level. I mean, maybe he's had a winning season when he was a high school coach. I don't know if he ever was a high school coach. But as a professional or collegiate head coach, he has not had a winning season. There's a lot of expectation that Grambling will be better with their quarterback, Miles Crawley. I loved hearing at SWAC Media Day that, Coach Jackson did some self-evaluation and really expects a better year, not only for himself, but his team. I love hearing coaches say that kind of thing. Gives me confidence early in the year. That could all change based on performance of what I see on Saturday. But for right now, I'm going with Grambling over Hampton. I'll be honest, I have no idea what Hampton has. So this is more of a play on Grambling than it is anything against Hampton. So I'm going as my fifth game, I'm going GSU over Hampton. Who you got in that game?
Stepping back, Benedict has won 12 consecutive regular season games. All right, moving over to the game that you just mentioned, Brian, Hampton and Grambling. Hampton, I think, is going to be an improved team this year. The problem is, Brian, no one will ever know how good Hampton can be because they're playing in the ultra competitive CAA. You know, Hampton could be 50% better than last year and probably still wind up with a losing record. For both of these teams, this is a game that they have to have because this game is going to be a telltale sign of their season. But Brian, my SWAC bias is coming out in this pick, Brian. I'm going with you. I'm going with Grambling with you, Brian.
Yeah. And I think we'll both be right there with Edwin Moore here. Who obviously, yes, I love the name Brick City Classic. And yes, yeah, bricks are missed shots. In our world where we are coaches in basketball, a brick. So yes, the missed shot City Classic. I love the name. I love the or
yeah.
who was the town? Wasn't Brick City like Portland? Or has it always been New Jersey? Brick City?
Yeah. That was Rip City. That was Rip City.
Oh, that was Rip City. Oh, okay.
Rip City. Yeah. But Brian.
Yeah, but that's the okay. So that's interesting, Dave. The last time,
and that kind of goes to my point.
Yeah.
Probably when they was
again, Hampton, I know Hampton doesn't like Hampton. Like we did that on the over under talking about where Hampton's wins are going to come, and I know Hampton has been successful against HBCUs in the non-conference, and then they get into conference play and kind of stumble over themselves a little bit. But I'm just going. I'm going with again. I'm shading
straight SWAC bias for me.
I agree. It's a Hugh Jackson bias again. I still am trying to figure out whether he's TBD. My thoughts on Hugh Jackson are TBD, based on what I see this season. I'm gonna give him the whole season. I'm not gonna cut him short on just one thought there. All right. So again, recap our picks. Drew is taking Bowie over Delaware State, Tuskegee over Fort Valley State, Prairie View over Texas Southern, Benedict over Shaw, and Grambling over Hampton. I am in agreement with Drew on the Benedict and Grambling. One of my 5 games is Tennessee State losing to Notre Dame, since Drew told us that we have to pick one of our ultimate road trip games. That was my ultimate road trip game, which happens to be the first HBCU to visit Notre Dame and play at Notre Dame Stadium. So that is why that was on my ultimate road trip game. And I am Oppo Drew on the Red Tails Classic. I'm going with Fort Valley State. I'm going with the team that has won this thing the last 2 years and is a favorite. Or I'm sorry, that may not be a favorite. They should be in the running for, the SIC championship game. And then I'm going with Texas Southern over Prairie View. Another game. This time I'm going Oppo the trend. The trend says take Prairie View because Prairie View has owned this thing. But I'm saying this is the year Texas Southern finally steps out of the shadows and becomes a contender in the West, and it starts with week 1.
Can I mail in my my ONG strike zone pick for you since I won't be on there? Can I go ahead and get that now?
Yeah. So the
For the
yeah.
OBC.
Yeah.
You save yours for the ONG.
Are you giving score predictions or anything like that?
No, I'm not giving score predictions.
All right.
I just, the only thing I'm gonna say, FAMU will score a touchdown this game, y'all.
God hope so.
Charles Bishop, Royal Maxwell. Who else in here from Jackson State? All by Jackson State people. FAMU will score a touchdown this week.
That's your bold prediction.
That's my boldest prediction. But I think this is going to be a season of trends for Jackson State, Brian. Coach T.C. Taylor went into Atlanta 0-4 in Atlanta as an assistant coach.
Uh-huh.
Then he wins as a head coach. Jackson State has defeated FAMU the last 4 times that they have played, dating back to 2014, 2018, 2021, and 2022.
Come on. 2014 was a decade ago, but anyway, go ahead.
Will you let me make my point?
I'm sorry, because okay, go ahead. I'm quiet.
Okay, so we saw Jackson State break a 4-game losing streak for Coach T.C. Taylor this past Saturday. Now, I think we're going to see the opposite. We're going to see Jackson State's 4-game win streak get broke this Sunday in Miami Gardens, Florida, as I have the Rattlers coming out on top.
There you go, Edwin. See, so he is picking FAMU. I was worried. I was worried you were gonna not pick them.
But I think we're going to see a bunch of trends. We saw the 0-4 trend get broken. Now I think we're going to see the 4-0 trend get broken this week. I hadn't had a symmetry to set it up, Brian.
I see what you did. I respect it. And
then you can save your analysis for Wednesday.
Yeah. I'll save my analysis for Wednesday's ONG Strike Zone. We will have Timona on the show. She loves thee. She will be on the show Wednesday night to give her perspective of Jackson State.
She may not love thee this week, though.
Well, it's funny. When you get out to a good start, and you know what we should do? I'm gonna go back and look at the teams who have won that week 0 contest, maybe the last 4 or 5 years in the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and just see what their first couple weeks were after that game.
I got one that sticks out to me, Brian.
What's that?
You remember when Central beat Alcorn?
Yeah.
In the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and then laid the egg against Valley later on that season.
Well, but when was that? When they laid the egg against Valley? How far?
That was the same season. That was
how
21.
far into the season? How far into the season?
That may have been like 2 weeks later.
I'm just wondering.
Game.
I'm just wondering what what playing the next week or two is like. I mean, there's a lot of optimism, especially if you won. If you won, I don't know. Let me see who the games are. I may share this on Wednesday's show in terms of what you're feeling. I know from a fan base perspective, because I'm on the opposite side of this. And I really mean this. Again, I'm eating crow because I had South Carolina State in so many ways. It's ridiculous. Not even going to get into. I left that game like I was personally invested in that game to a point where I was driving home, Drew, and I felt as bad as I did a year ago after FAMU lost in the OBC. That's how I mean, literally shaking my head, trying to figure out how I handicapped that game so flipping wrong. I have no words for it. And yeah, I mean, I'm scratching my head. I mean, really. I mean, I maybe the whole announcement of Buddy Pugh did have a factor. I just, man, I just the one thing I say is JSU folks were adamant about telling me that, hey, JSU has done this before, with 90 over 70 players that, and then you come into the season and get off to I guess so. I guess so, man. I just, damn, I got it wrong bad. It's a good reminder going into the season, Drew. You know what? One, I need to pay attention to our computer data analytics a little bit more instead of saying poo. What does the computer know? I need to pay attention to the computers a little bit more because, again, the computers were all saying 15, 14 points, right? And I was like, no, there's no way, no.
And Bryan.
Yeah.
Bryan. And we are a network who rely on computer analytics for our rankings. You should know better.
Yeah, well, you're right. But I was wrong. I was wrong. I thought those numbers were based on production from a year ago. So somebody out there, look, I'm not going to do it, but I would love for any of the Jackson State folks or any of the people who have their shows, go do a dive into the production. I mean, because the production is pretty impressive. When you go back and look at the Jackson State production in that game, they had 3, 4, 5. Well, technically, among their two primary running backs, I know Mulligan was the main guy, but they had two other backs who carried the ball positive yards. Receiving, they had 8 different receivers. 8 different receivers. The guys who caught most of the balls didn't even score the touchdowns. They had 3 guys that had 4, 5, and 8 receptions, all for 57. Let's see, Duke Miller, 8 catches, 57 yards. Isaiah Spencer, 5 catches, 64 yards. Rico Powers, 4 catches, 95 yards. Those 3 guys didn't even score the touchdowns. It was other guys who scored the touchdowns, right? And
Bryan,
then
what has changed besides the numbers on the front of the jersey? Nothing. Yeah. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, I think we all come away kind of shocked at the game. I think the game plan from South Carolina State was horrible. It was flawed. And they asked Corey Fields to do too much too early. And they should have leaned on their offensive line. They should have went to the running back sooner. And that's that. I was looking at the possessions. I mean, the second half, what Jackson State did in the second half, touchdown, field goal in the game. I mean, damn, you talk about putting the game away. And it was only 17-0 at the half. So whatever thoughts you had, and they played it masterfully because Jackson State got the ball to start the second half. And so, but the one good thing is we had the conversation with Coach Willie Simmons. Coach Simmons now knows how fast Jackson State is going to want to go. So I'm sure when they're practicing this week, they're going to be practicing, hey, after a play, you got 10 seconds to get lined up and ready because Jackson State is going. If they play at that same tempo, that'll be interesting. Let me ask another thing, Drew. Did you notice anything about the clocks? Did you see do you feel like the new rules as it relates to the clock, do you feel like it had any kind of impact other than maybe the number of possessions or plays run, which that always could, if you score a lot on few plays, I mean, then I guess, it is what it is. But I think Jackson State had only 63 plays run. They only ran 63 plays, which is, I charted this last year. Jackson State averaged about 70 something plays a game last year. Any thoughts on the clock situation?
I don't know about the clock situation, but the real clock, it was still a 3.5 hour ball game.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was still a 3.5 hour ball game. Interesting. Okay. And I noticed that other site I'm on has the updated team stats too, Drew. Yeah, because I've noticed it's changed. Total yardage for Jackson State is 494 officially. And 26 of 30 now showing for Jason Brown instead of what I was reading earlier. So they must have got the memo. 24,238 was the attendance. Pretty much 97% capacity. That was a record.
Largest attended game, for Atlanta.
For Atlanta, right. Third largest.
And the third largest overall.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I'm going to be curious about is the television ratings, because what was curious, there were several markets around the country that either you didn't get a chance to see this game or you had to deal with cable issues. And this is why I'm telling you this, the networks, there's this fight going on between cable companies and networks. And I'm telling you, Drew, streaming, they're just going to say, bump you cable companies. We're just going to go streaming. We're just going to put our stuff on the stream and then let people decide how much they want to pay or what they pay. But in talking with our group, there are certain markets that did not show this game because of contract issues between ABC and the cable networks.
DirecTV, Comcast, or Charter, or whoever you've got.
Right. Apparently there is a cable dispute with Comcast potentially in some markets. I know, let's see, I'm trying to read here. Baltimore, for example, if you were in the city of Baltimore, because there was a Baltimore Ravens game, which shows the Ravens preseason games, that game took priority. So the ESPN or this MEAC SWAC Challenge game was on ESPN instead of ABC. DirecTV or AT&T customers who live in New Orleans, Knoxville, Nashville, or Richmond couldn't watch their local ABC affiliate because they are owned by Nexstar Broadcasting. And that company has been in coverage dispute with AT&T, since July 2nd. That was a text our good friend Mo Carter sent us. So I'll be curious to see Coach Farasi. Actually, that's also this is what made me think of this. Coach Farasi in New Mexico. It wasn't on the AT&T. It wasn't on. I don't know what he has. I think they have Comcast, or I think out there. But Coach was telling me he couldn't find it on the ABC affiliate. But it was on ESPN. So I'll be interested to see what kind of numbers that game drew. We got somebody here in the chat that said cable didn't carry the game because ABC and cable negotiate. So AT&T. So if you were an AT&T subscriber, then you had to deal with issues, But again, that's why I said you got ESPN.com. You go to ESPN.com, you can watch it. Or if you have or better yet, if you have ESPN Plus, because sometimes if your cable is connected to your ESPN account, you got issues sometimes. I don't know. It is what it is, Drew. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of coverage you get for that game. Okay. Any final thoughts or anything you want to touch on before we shut it down here as we get ready for week number 1 coming up, Labor Day weekend this weekend?
No, just shout out to John Grant, first of all, for putting on such a tremendous event. Executive director of the BCSN SWAC Challenge, the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge, and the Celebration Bowl. Also, the sponsors of that, Coca-Cola, Cricket, Wireless was there. The Army was there. I'm trying to think who else would I see as some of the major sponsors who were there. But any of those people who are those major sponsors, let's make sure we go out and support them, because they are supporting us. Number 2, great to be around the guys. Again, Bryan, of course, you were there. Dr. Cavill was there. The whole inside the HBCU Sports Lab crew, Charles Bishop, Mike Washington, Kelvin Rozier from the OAG Strike Zone was there. Kelvin Carter, Grambling alum, who's a friend of the network, was there. Even the boss man showed up. Roy was there. Roy usually says everybody else along. Bumped into a few other people from around the HBCU diocese. Luke Williams, Stephen Gaither. You and Stephen Gaither pulled up at the same time at the media lot as the media lot was closed, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah, they closed the lot, right? Like the car right in front of me gets a chance to go.
Was the last car.
Was the last car. And
too many people in the club. You gotta wait till somebody come out.
And
that's what you was.
I would have been there sooner. I tried to turn down the very street that they opened up literally 5 minutes later, and an officer was like, you can't go here. And I was like, well, this is the purple lot. And he was like, you got to go back the other way. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Anyway.
So you would have got in. Who else? Ken Rashad, Michael Jefferson, Luke Williams.
I didn't see Mike. I didn't see Mike, but he was there. Good.
Oh, you didn't see Mike? Yeah,
not Jefferson.
Mike. Yeah, Michael Jefferson was there. He was up there like 2 rows behind us, Bryan.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yes.
The point is, I think all of that Drew is saying is there's some great coverage of this thing that we're doing here, and we encourage all of you to try to consume it, but really we got to share. You're going to have your favorite shows and your favorite people. That's great. But regardless of whether it's us or somebody else, make sure you hit those thumbs up, the likes, the views, but also share. Let your friends, you'd be surprised how many people in our communities don't know that you can get HBCU coverage. I know, it's disappointing to hear that this game wasn't on in Los Angeles. That's a major market to be missing out on the ABC. Here's a game that's, the one year that they decide, Drew, look at this. The one year that they decide to put the game on linear terrestrial TV, guess what? Unless you can't get it.
And this would be the excuse not to put it back on next year because our numbers were low.
But think about that. Think about it. There weren't very many sexy week 0 matchups to start off with. Let's keep it real. There really weren't. I mean, USC and San Jose State.
There were none.
Vanderbilt, there were none. There were
none.
Garbage. The only people who were watching those games were people who had money on one side or the other.
Was there even a competitive game on Saturday, Bryan?
Hawaii, Vanderbilt.
Okay. You named the one.
Yeah, but I mean, who's watching Hawaii or Vanderbilt?
I'm just saying, because every other game was a blowout, including the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge.
Yeah. So, the 1 year that they decided to put it on ABC, I was so ticked that various places that were talking about week 0 games wasn't even mentioning the fact that this game was on ABC. And I wondered why. And you know why? Now I know why. Because the doggone game wasn't on ABC everywhere around the country.
Yes, it wasn't national.
So, 2 steps forward, 1 kick in the leg, take a step back. Not just take a step back, but to kick you in the leg and take a step back. So, but look, some, it is what it is.
I just want to finish my point where I was saying about mentioning all those people.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Everybody out there, even though most of those people that I named, over half those people I named, work for different entities or independent writers or podcasters or whatever, we are not in competition with any of them. They are not in competition with us. We're all there having 3-minute, 5-minute conversations, deep conversations about what can we do to help each other out, because we all know as any one of us grows, the rest of this, what we're doing, the way we're disseminating this information, it continues to grow and we become even better and more powerful in this marketplace. So, of course, we want you to like, subscribe, follow, share, and support the Black College Sports Network first. But once you do that, we don't mind you going and supporting another HBCU show. And if you still got some time and or some money left over after doing that, help somebody else get a show started. How about that? I'm done.
You're talking about helping people get a show started. Look at you.
The more content we have out there, the better this whole thing is.
There you go. Hey,
every school does not have a school-based podcast. That's where I'm going with that. Every school should have somebody doing something like the O&G Strike Zone, or like a Carlos Brown show, or like with D pregame show. Every school, or 1876 Sports and Culture. Every school should have something school-centric on the line, on the airwaves somewhere.
Some schools have 3, 4 different shows.
That's fine. The more the merrier, because now you get different genres. But that means consumers have choices.
All right. All right. Want to remind everybody again, youtube.com/MyJBN online/join. Be a part of the JBN membership family. Exclusive First Watch content. We're going to be doing some post-game shows on Saturday nights. Might even be doing some in-game watch parties, things like that. But more importantly, it's your opportunity to support the Black College Sports Network. Jericho Broadcast Networks is a parent company, and we just want to continue to try to keep bringing good content over the next 25 years, because 25 years we've been doing this, trying to do it for 25 more, as long as the Lord lets us do it. Got some new shows coming up here. Drew, your show debuting Monday, tomorrow.
That is the plan.
All right. We
Lord willing,
we got to get an announcement.
Are we coming on next Sunday? Are we coming on next Sunday? Or
okay, yeah, we need to talk about that, because next Sunday I'm going to be in a press box
between the Red Tails and the ONG. I mean, the OBC.
Are you going to the Red Tails?
Still, I haven't decided yet.
All right,
I'm credentialed, but I don't know if I'm going to make the trip.
So if we don't do a show, then we'll have to do a Labor Day edition of the show, and we might have to do it in the daytime
because of the SIAC gridiron.
Right. If you're doing your show at night, we need to do our show in the daytime. So that'll be good. And we do it before anybody. might need to do it at, we'll work it out. So pay
We'll
attention.
figure it out.
Pay attention.
That's why you need to be subscribed.
Exactly. Be subscribed. Hit the bell notification so that way when shows get ready to go, you'll get a notification about them. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1, the number one. And that's how you can do that. Go check out the BCSN Pod Zone, as you will. I'm going to give a little plug for that. Podcasts of this show and other shows like Carlos Brown's show last night, Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the ONG Strike Zone, and some more that are coming are all going to be part of the BCSN Pod Zone, a one-stop shop for all of this great content in podcast format on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple and Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and more. So want to encourage you to do that. So, all right.
Tomorrow night, SIAC Gridiron Report, 8 p.m. 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Eastern Time, SIC, talking SIC football. That'll be a good show. Be looking forward to watching that show, Drew. Good luck. Have a good first episode. You guys got plenty to talk about in the SIC. Should be a good, fun league to watch this year. All right. And so with that, we'll close up the show by thanking everybody.
Both, Karen.
Yeah. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll make sure to
and on the BCSN Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much if you're following the Black College Sports Network, you'll get all of these shows. So
yes.
Edward said Wednesdays are getting crowded for age. Hey,
he's not right. HBCU Nightly, you guys,
Hey, look, I would hope every day of the week is crowded with HBCU content.
And you know what you do in that case? You figure out which one you want to watch live, and then you go back and let the other one play like when you're on your way to work or when you're in the office or
exactly.
Because I love the Carlos Brown show and part of the BCSN family, but I rarely am able to catch Carlos Brown live. I always have to go back and watch the replay.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, Carlos. It's just the timing of when the show comes on. But hey, you still get your numbers from me.
Yeah. The more content, the merrier. The more content, the merrier, I continue to say. All right, Drew, let's get out of here because I am hungry, starved, and tired. I feel like I got to go get something to eat. Otherwise, it's going to be a long, difficult night of sleeping. So let's get ready to bag it up. Thanks to everybody for watching the show again. Go hit up our guests, Kris Ferguson and Coach Farasi Norman. Let them know that you appreciate their content, the information. Go watch the show. Congratulations, Jackson State fans. Hope you enjoyed your 24 hours. Now it's Orange Blossom Classic Week, and it's time to go. We coming.
Like my friend Ken Woodard, former Denver Bronco linebacker, Tuskegee University graduate, would say, "It's football, baby. Let's go."
Guys, be safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Have a great start to your week, and we will see you next weekend, probably Monday afternoon, right back here on the Black College Sports Network. Have a great week, everybody. Peace out.
But stay on hard.